In the second year after marrying Gu King, she became a prominent beauty in the aristocratic circle. Every man envied me, but what they didn't know was, for 2 whole years she had never let me touch her. In the aristocratic circle, there was a highly anticipated dinner party. Tonight was the first time Gu King brought Hui to attend such a commercial event. It was also the first time the young lady of the Gu family appeared with a male companion. Gu King in the aristocratic circle was famous for her cold and graceful demeanor. With an arrogant temperament, her entire being exuded a unique aura. At this moment she had a cold and stern face, her brows revealing a hint of displeasure. I knew that was the sign she was about to lose her temper. On the TV screen, Hui stood behind her with a gentle smile. The two of them looked like a perfect match of talent and beauty, utterly captivating. Seeing that scene, my heart suddenly ached. I jolted awake. The phone screen was still lit. It was the chat window with Gu King. The last message was the one she had sent half an hour ago. "Stay home tonight, don't go anywhere." I curled my lips into a bitter smile. I'd known for a long time that Gu King and I were nothing but a marriage on paper. But I'd loved her since childhood, loved her deeply. Yet in her eyes I had never existed. Just over 10 minutes ago, the moment Gu King appeared on the arm of Hui, every gaze in the hall turned to them. In an instant, the major media outlets scrambled to report it. Gu King finally made her appearance. Hui sat in the audience, in a navy blue suit that accentuated his tall and striking figure. He gazed at Gu King on the stage with an infatuated smile, his eyes brimming with affection. The camera shifted to Gu King delivering her speech on stage. After a few days apart, she seemed completely transformed, her expression one of ease and composure. Throughout her 5-minute speech, her eyes kept lingering on Hui, the two of them like a pair of lovers lost in passionate embrace. The ambiguous atmosphere between them made everyone present blush and hearts race. As soon as the speech ended, a swarm of reporters rushed forward. "This must be Miss Gu. As expected, her reputation precedes her. And this must be Mr. Le. You two look so happy together. May you always stay by each other's side. Mr. Le, Miss Gu, please look over here." Calls of Mr. Le echoed repeatedly, making the smile on Hui's face gradually stiffen. He forced a smile and said, "Excuse me, I'm not let you on." The words had barely left his mouth when everyone present exchanged bewildered glances. The reporters smelled a scandal and hurriedly raised their cameras. One question after another. "So what is your relationship with Miss Gu?" There have always been rumors that Miss Gu and the young master of the Hu family have feelings for each other. "The one she loves is you, Mr. Hu, right? Please answer us, sir." The barrage of reporters' questions left Hui stunned in place. His silence only fueled the reporters to press even harder. In the hall, not a few people began whispering. The Gu and Le families were originally a match made in heaven. How could he ruin such a perfect union? Oh, isn't it just to get at the Gu family's money? Anyway, he looks pretty handsome. He has enough looks to be a kept man, without any charm. How could he catch the eye of Miss Gu? Miss Gu probably just said it and that's it. In the lens, Gu King emerged from the crowd, striding quickly toward them, her eyes cold and majestic, her voice sharp, carrying a chilling authority. "Hui, come here." Gu King extended her hand. No one present dared to make a sound. Hui gave a faint smile and quickly stepped to Gu King's side. Gu King lifted her head, her sharp gaze sweeping over the reporters who had asked the questions. "Mr. Hu is my business partner. My husband is unwell today and couldn't attend. It was my poor arrangement that caused so much misunderstanding. I hope everyone can forgive me." As soon as she finished speaking, the reporters and guests who had spoken up hurriedly made amends. Anyone with sense understood. You could provoke anyone but not Miss Gu. Opposing her was a dead end. The live broadcast had ended. But in my mind, Gu King's final words still echoed. "I wasn't ill, I could have attended. It was just that Gu King wouldn't allow it. For so many years, very few people truly knew me. I never cared for those social gatherings full of fame and fortune." I sighed, sitting dazed on the balcony. back in my youth. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say I was full of charisma. As soon as I returned to the country, I began taking over part of my father's business. Everyone thought I was just a young upstart who couldn't achieve anything worthwhile. They advised me to give up, but I couldn't accept it. The more they looked down on me, the harder I had to work to create accomplishments. In just a few short months, the project I led rose to the top of the industry. Major companies vied to collaborate with us. Le Group owed its stability in the business world to that, becoming one of the industry's giants. Everything went smoothly until Gu King returned from abroad, and Hu Wei appeared by her side. Because of him, Gu King began driving away all the flowers around her, including me. I started to panic. From childhood, Gu King and I had grown up together. In her world, it seemed no other man existed besides me, let alone someone who could capture Gu King's attention. She was cold and indifferent to everyone. That year, on New Year's Eve, my parents had gone abroad for work. The streets bustled with traffic. A festive atmosphere enveloped the entire city. I stayed home alone, going nowhere. As the New Year's bell was about to ring, I heard Gu King's voice. I thought I was dreaming. Little Chuan, lift your head. The doorbell at the foyer chimed. I opened the door. Gu King stood under the moonlight holding fireworks, her eyes sparkling as if veiled in a thin layer of mist. Little Chuan, Happy New Year. Her jet black hair framed her delicate and exquisite face. Under the faint starlight like frost, the girl's bright eyes reflected the quiet joy of peaceful years. At the same moment, the pitch-black sky behind her lit up with brilliant bursts of fireworks. The light illuminated her face, as if the whole world had lost its color. In that instant, my heart pounded fiercely. So this was what it felt like to be moved. I always thought I was the exception, until Hu Wei appeared. Only then did I realize, all these years it was just me being lovesick alone. Outside, rain was falling. Several calls to Gu King went unanswered. Just as I was about to text, Gu King's called back. I pressed accept. Before I could speak, a man's voice came from the other end, tinged with apology. Little Ching, I shouldn't have answered the reporters today. I caused trouble for you. It's my fault. I froze. It was Hu Wei. Before I could react, Gu King's voice rang out. Little Wei, you don't need to apologize. You know, the one I've loved from beginning to end is you. I stared at the phone until the voices on the other end faded, replaced only by those piercing, intimate sounds. This scene I'd endured it countless times over the past 2 years. The business marriage had been Gu King's proposal from the start. 2 years ago, my father's company was betrayed. Capital suddenly cut off. The company was in chaos, teetering on the edge of collapse. It was Gu King who stepped in to help, helping Le Group weather the storm. Everyone thought it was just aid between close associates. Only I knew it was merely a transaction. The day before Gu King intervened, she found me and asked, "You like me, right?" I didn't hesitate. I liked Gu King. All my friends knew. It was just Hu Wei's appearance that turned this one-sided love into a secret dream. She stood before me, staring at me intently. No longer the adorable girl from our youth. Her voice cold like a relentless whisper. Do you want to marry me? I lowered my head, saying nothing. I knew she wasn't finished. I can help the Le family through this crisis, but the condition is that you marry me and shield me from the other storms. I curled my lips into a bitter smile. Marrying me just to make me a shield. When Gu King returned to the country with Hu Wei, my mother-in-law firmly refused to let them be together. Even though Gu King begged on her knees, my mother-in-law didn't yield an inch. Gu King's overseas friends had once told me that Gu King and Hu Wei met in a bar abroad. The two were very compatible. Abroad, they were best friends who hid nothing from each other. One unexpected time, Hu Wei saved Gu King and ended up injured and hospitalized himself. During the days Hu Wei was in the hospital, Gu King cared for him devotedly. From then on, their relationship grew closer, even surpassing friendship. On the night Gu King returned to the country, everyone gathered to welcome her. The moment I saw Hu Wei, all eyes in the hall turned to me. Only later did I learn that Gu King being with Hu Wei She had told everyone except me. I agreed to Gu King. In the business world, friends willing to help in times of crisis are exceedingly rare. Without Gu Group's assistance, my father's company might have truly gone bankrupt. Besides signing the marriage agreement, Gu King and I signed another one. Our private lives would not interfere with each other. So in the 2 years of marriage to Gu King, I never inquired about her personal life, always playing the role of a loving couple by her side. The other end of the phone had hung up. I sighed and sent the prepared message. Weary, I closed my eyes. My mother-in-law called to tell me tomorrow I had to go back for dinner with Gu King. It seemed Gu King wouldn't go. I didn't want to disappoint my mother-in-law, so I bought a gift to represent Gu King. I don't know when it started, but I found myself opening Huwei's Weibo, recording every moment of his life with Gu King. The earliest post related to Gu King was from 3 years ago. In the photo, the girl smiled radiantly. The man's beautiful eyes always followed her. The love in his gaze seemed ready to overflow. Huwei wanted to go to the library. Gu King went with him. He wanted to eat local cuisine. Gu King immediately had someone deliver it. My finger paused on the screen, slowly scrolling, my eyes growing increasingly sore. On our first anniversary, she left home to be with Huwei. At my birthday party, Gu King suddenly left in front of my parents. That was the first time she defied them openly, for no other reason, just because Huwei had cooked for her himself and wanted her to come taste it. Everything on Weibo were all the sweet moments of Huwei and Gu King. So in the end, childhood sweetheart couldn't compare to someone who fell from the sky. I took a deep breath and looked up, feeling utterly exhausted. Over the past 2 years, I'd asked myself countless times whether Gu King and I were truly what I wanted. The truth proved I'd never regretted it. My love for her had always endured. The man's latest post was uploaded 5 minutes ago. Huwei posted a photo, him intimately embracing a girl about to kiss. In the comments, there was a familiar account that left a comment under his post. It was Gu King. Huwei sent a kissing emoji with the words, "Love you, darling." I clenched my fist tightly, trying to suppress the surging pain in my heart. Gu King, if I no longer like you, would you be sad? The next morning, I carried the gift back home. Just as I was about to step through the door, Gu King's voice called from behind Little Chuan. I froze in place. Gu King's voice was gentler than ever, as if time had rewound to the year our love began to bloom. She parked the car and took the gift from my hand, one hand deftly linking her arm with mine. "Thank you." I looked at her. Compared to the Gu King I'd seen on the live broadcast yesterday, she seemed like a completely different person. Her face cold, her whole being radiating a sense of distance. I said nothing, just silently followed her. "Sorry about yesterday," thought Gu King didn't say it explicitly. I knew she was apologizing for the call with Huwei last night, for deliberately calling over. No need for that. It's what I should do. I lowered my head, my tone somewhat faint. Over so many years, to say I wasn't tired would be a lie, but I always gave myself excuses. Maybe if I persisted a little longer, Gu King would see me again. The hand on my arm trembled slightly for a moment, but quickly steadied. "Mom, we're here." Gu King took my hand and entered the living room. As soon as we stepped in, the atmosphere was filled with an unusual tension. My mother-in-law sat on the sofa, her face pale, her hand gripping the wine glass tightly. Gu King tried to pull me to sit, but my mother-in-law shouted to stop her. "Stand still right there." Gu King's hovering hand froze, her expression somewhat complicated. No one in the entire Gu household dared to speak. Everyone stood silently to the side, heads bowed in quiet. Though no one said it outright, everyone knew. My mother-in-law was furious about last night. "Mom, this has nothing to do with Little Chuan." Gu King spoke first, breaking the silence. "Is it your turn to speak now? Eldest young lady of the Gu family." A loud crash rang out. The wine glass in my mother-in-law's hand shattered on the table. Her eyes didn't even glance at Gu King, her tone harsher than usual by tenfold. Having lived with my mother-in-law for so long, this was the first time I'd seen her so enraged. I stood awkwardly in place, somewhat flustered. Even after 2 years in this house, I knew the servants had never treated me as Mr. Le. Especially after my parents passed away, they gave me even worse looks, seeing me as a useless freeloader. Little Juan, do you know where you went wrong? My mother-in-law stood up, suppressing her anger as she walked toward me. I looked up, my voice low. Please tell me, Mom. My mother-in-law crossed her arms, pacing around me and Gu King circle after circle. You can't even control the woman in your life. Little Juan, don't you think you're at fault amid the crowd? Your lawful wife flirting with another man. The media has blown it up into what now? You two don't feel ashamed, but I do. You're all grown up, and you can't tell what's important from what's not. My mother-in-law's voice echoed through the grand hall. She picked up the cane from the cabinet and slowly approached me. I knew my mother-in-law was helping me. Mom, what are you doing? Gu King grabbed my mother-in-law's hands as she raised the cane, her brows furrowing in displeasure. I'm disciplining my son-in-law. Does that pain you? My mother-in-law shook off Gu King's hand and swung the cane down. I instinctively closed my eyes, but the pain never came. I opened my eyes. Gu King stood shielding me, having taken the blow in my place. Alright then, Mom scolded enough and struck enough. Let's eat now. The food's gone cold. I clenched my hands, standing still until my mother-in-law spoke. Then I sat down. Little Juan, were you really unwell yesterday? My chopsticks paused. I instinctively glanced at Gu King. Her cold expression betrayed no emotion. I forced a barely perceptible smile and said, Mom, I really was unwell. If unwell, go to the hospital for a thorough check. It's been 2 years. All my old friends have held their grandchildren. Why haven't you two made any progress? My mother-in-law seemed to address me, but her gaze quietly slid toward Gu King. Gu King wasn't oblivious to the implication. She set down her chopsticks and took my hand, her brows showing concern. Mom, don't worry. Little Juan and I will try our best. In that moment, I was a bit dazed. So a person's ability to pretend could be this strong. After Gu King brought me home, she handed me an exquisite gift box. Thank you for covering for me today. I took the box, opened it to find a bracelet inside. Over the 2 years, the small gifts from Gu King were countless, gathering dust in the cabinet. Gu King was excellent at this. She could give me anything. I silently placed the gift back in its spot. Tomorrow I'll stop by the company to pick up an important document. Sure, I'll arrange for someone to deliver it to you. I nodded stiffly and turned to leave. My life with Gu King was always like this, boring and monotonous. Our relationship, like the most familiar strangers. Back home, I took a deep breath, lay on the bed staring blankly at the dark ceiling. This house Gu King had never visited. Even on our wedding night, after the guests left, she had left too. Gone to Huai's place. That was the home she longed for day and night. The next morning I woke and packed my things to go to Gu King's company. As soon as I entered, Huai stopped me. What, you have time to come here today? Planning to get back to work? Huai's tone dripped with sarcasm. Mr. Le, the industry has changed a lot now. With your abilities, I'm afraid you couldn't handle any position. I stared at him. I had to admit, if you looked closely, Huai really bore some resemblance to me. Huai and I rarely met before because of my family status. He always showed me respect. Later, relying on Gu King's affection for him, he climbed over me time and again, deliberately or not, sending photos to provoke me. Now even better. No more pretending. Huai seemed about to say more, but I was too lazy. Shot him a glance and walked straight on. I sat in the break room, watching the busy employees in the office. I couldn't help but feel a touch of sentiment. A few years ago, I was the same, busy but very happy. After a few minutes, Huai brought the documents. He smiled with hidden meaning, the top button of his white shirt undone, revealing marks on his neck. I glanced unconsciously. My heart felt gripped by an invisible hand, a bit breathless. Little Ching had something come up and couldn't make it. Asked me to bring the documents. Calling her Little Ching so intimately, I took the documents and turned to go, but Huai blocked me with his hand. He leaned in closer, his face full of undisguised jealousy. Don't you want to know, in Gu King's heart, what kind of person you are? I clenched my fist and looked at him coldly. Sorry, I'm not interested. I stepped back, my expression indifferent. He didn't care, his eyes vicious and mad burning. Toward me, he said, you were just a lapdog, clinging to her all day, impossible to shake off. The most annoying thing every day was seeing you. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. In Gu King's eyes, so I was such a pathetic person. Just then, a hand suddenly pushed me. I immediately lost balance. I looked at Hu Wei. On his ferocious face appeared an eerie smile. The next second, he suddenly grabbed my wrist, then released it. After that, his whole body tumbled toward the stairs. I instinctively reached to pull him back, but was shoved aside by Gu King, who had just rushed over. Let you on, what are you doing? A loud thud echoed. The back of my head slammed hard against the table edge. My mind exploded in sharp pain, as if some liquid was slowly trickling out. Gu King helped Hu Wei to his feet. Seeing the blood on his forehead, she coldly berated me. Let you on, apologize. I didn't do anything wrong, why should I? I got angry too, stubbornly staring at her. Gu King widened her eyes in disbelief. I never thought you'd be so malicious. In that moment, everything around seemed to pause. In my eyes, I only saw Gu King's disgust toward me, and Hu Wei's smug satisfaction. Gu King supported him as they turned to leave. Mr. Let, you're bleeding. Do you need a bandage? I touched the back of my head. The intense pain made me gasp involuntarily. Ignoring the blood on my hand, I grabbed the documents and hurried away. Back home, I couldn't endure it anymore. Sliding down the wall to sit on the floor, I stared at the empty ceiling for a long time, my gaze dissolving. Even when Gu King returned, I paid no attention. Let you on, don't think because my mom likes you, you can act recklessly. Don't touch Hu Wei anymore. If something like this happens again, what will you do to me? Divorce me. I looked at Gu King. Who the hell is playing games here? Just check the cameras and you'll know. You can't tell right from wrong and rush to accuse me. Isn't that too unfair to me? Gu King was startled by my reaction. Just as she opened her mouth, I cut her off. I closed my eyes, my voice trembling as I spoke. Gu King liking you isn't wrong, but it'll get tired too. Gu King stared at me in a daze, a hint of regret seeming to cloud her eyes. Little Juan ear expression panicked. She reached to support me but missed. I looked up, meeting Gu King's gaze. I tried to search for the old shadow in her eyes. Unfortunately, it was completely gone. Gu King wanted to say something but was called away by Hu Wei. I laughed self-mockingly. Even now, I still hoped Gu King would stay. I turned and went to the bedroom, began packing my luggage, then called a cab to the hospital. The wound on the back of my head was starting to swell. The doctor prescribed medicine and told me to rest well. I carried my luggage along the riverbank. Old memories kept flashing in my mind. Perhaps it was time to let go, to find myself again. After that day, Gu King seemed to change a bit toward me, starting to care more about me. But she still didn't know I'd moved back to my own place. In the car, I tilted my head and asked her why she needed me to show up this time. The implication clear. Why not bring Hu Wei? She didn't answer. Only after a long while did she speak. The thing last time was my fault. Suri lowered my eyes. No ripples in my heart. If it were before, I might have been overjoyed for days over those words. I didn't respond, just stared straight ahead. Midway, Hu Wei called. Gu King hung up. Why not answer? Little Chuan, can we not talk about him today? The conversation ended in silence. Gu King and I rode the rest of the way without a word. As soon as we entered the hall, all eyes turned to us. Gu King held my hand and walked to the center of the grand hall. Picked up the microphone. This is my husband. Let you on. Applause and cheers erupted around us. I nodded slightly, cooperating with Gu King to play the loving couple. Halfway through the banquet, the hall doors opened again. It was Hu Wei, arm in arm with another woman. From start to finish, he didn't glance at Gu King once. The woman beside Hu Wei was a notorious playgirl in the circle. I looked at the woman beside me. Her hand gripping mine tightened even more. The pain in her eyes seemed about to spill over. Suddenly the grip on my hand loosened. Gu King strode toward them. In front of everyone she yanked Hui away. Out of the hall. The wine glass in my hand suddenly felt heavy. Look how much they love each other. I lowered my head with a faint smile. Drained the glass. Amid the crowd's murmurs, I walked toward where they had gone. Outside the hall, every few steps, I saw the two embracing by the roadside. I slowly approached, each step deepening the pain in my heart. Gu King, aren't you going a bit too far? I stood not far away and spoke softly. But in the moment of true release, I only felt immense relief. The arms around Hui froze. Gu King turned her head. Upon seeing me, she hurriedly pushed him away. I smiled and stepped forward, placing my hand over her lips, then turned to look at Hui's ashen face. Trash goes with trash. You two are a match made in heaven. Count me out. I don't know how I left that place, or even if Gu King tried to hold me back. But now it didn't matter. This time I truly let her go completely. Back at my own home, I saw Gu King waiting downstairs. Seeing me, she rushed over and hugged me. Her voice hoarse. Little Chuan, don't leave me. I wanted to push her away, but she held on tight. Gu King, who are you putting on this face for now? I closed my eyes and murmured. Her arms around me clearly trembled. I continued. I've liked you for so many years. Gu King, you know that. But now I'm tired. I don't want to like you anymore. Shouldn't you be happy about that? You'll explain everything to Mom. She's always been good to me. I slowly pulled away from her embrace, smiled and said, I wish you to happiness. A few days later, near my company building, I saw Gu King. With her was Hui. I wanted to turn and leave, but Hui spotted me. With things at this point, he didn't bother pretending anymore. Mr. Le, how have you been lately? I smiled faintly. Without you two hovering in my sight. Much more peaceful. Gu King looked at me, feeling utterly unfamiliar. Little Chuan, you weren't like this before. I replied indifferently. Sorry, I've never changed. On a holiday, I took a trip. Upon returning, I began preparing divorce papers. As soon as I landed at the airport, Gu King drove up in front of me. Little Chuan, can we talk? After a few days apart, Gu King looked somewhat haggard. I shoved my hands in my pockets. Before she could get out and open the door, I slid into the back seat. She looked up through the rearview mirror. Only after a long pause did she speak. Hui betrayed me again. Little Chuan, if broken up with him. He looked out the window. I'd heard about Hui's affairs even from afar. Heard he was sponging off a rich woman and acting improperly. Got his leg beat and crippled by someone. So what does that have to do with me? In this one-sided love, from start to finish, it was just me being the fool. In some sense, Gu King wasn't wrong. The one at fault was me. Gu King was on the verge of tears. Little Chuan, after you left, I realized the one I like has always been you. With him, I only felt guilt. I recalled Gu King from our teenage years. She wasn't without feelings for me. It was just that her guilt toward Hui gradually eroded it bit by bit. The divorce proceedings went smoothly. Gu King didn't even glance at the papers, just signed them. The moment I held the divorce certificate, I felt like my old self again. Le Group opened a few more branches. Coincidentally, one in Sanya, the place Gu King and I had once planned to visit together. My uncles and aunts were thrilled I was back, planning to hand over the company there to me. I packed my luggage and headed to the airport. Just as I was about to check in, I heard Gu King's voice. She came running up, panting. Little Chuan, will you come back? Gu King's voice was very soft. I wasn't sure if I misheard, but it seemed to carry a hint of hope. I turned and smiled lightly. Who can say what the future holds? As the plane took off, I thought of Gu King. I looked at the city outside the window, the city I'd lived in for over 20 years. My heart strangely calm. Before boarding, I deleted all contact with Gu King. The days in Sanya were all good. New Year approaching. I gave all company employees a long holiday. The vast company left with just me. In front of the company was a mailbox. Later the post office went on strike. The mailbox was abandoned. Nettie leaned against it. Not long after the post office strike, miraculously someone appeared. "Excuse me, is let you on at this company?" I straightened up and nodded. "That's me." The delivery person clapped. "Good thing. Someone asked me to deliver letters to you. Insisted on handing them personally." I took the letters. Glancing over, there must have been dozens. I walked along the beach opening each one. All signed by Gu King. The latest letter. Gu King had only written a few lines. "Are you doing well there? Today is the 203rd day since you left. I miss you so much. New Year is coming. Little Chuan, I wish you happiness and joy. I'm in the south, Gu King in the north." Over the past half year, I'd also heard Gu King was busy taking the company public. Endless parties and receptions. Scant-free time, but it had little to do with me. I sat on the beach, under the moonlight, reading all the apologies Gu King couldn't voice. Dozens of envelopes holding hundreds of sorries. "Gu King, I accept your apologies, but I don't want to love you anymore." When spring arrived, the major newspapers competed to report on Gu Group's IPO. A reporter asked President Gu, "What helped you take Gu Group public at such a rapid pace?" Gu King sat in the center, propping her chin. A year apart, she seemed much more mature. This time she wore a long black dress, colder and more reserved than before. Hearing the question, she answered seriously. Mr. Lethe, words just uttered. Whether the media at the scene or passers-by following the press conference, no one wasn't shocked. The past between Gu King and Hu Wei, very few knew. But my divorce from Gu King, everyone knew. The press conference ended quickly. The hot topic quickly climbed to #1. Discussions surging. Reporters blocked the company entrance. Couldn't get through. I sent a few messages to my assistant and gave myself another vacation. I went to the nearest temple from the company. The wishing tree hung full of wishes from each person, each wish a unique story. I stood in the pavilion, gazing at the scenery below the mountain, far from the city's clamor. Little Chuani was startled, turned to face Gu King's eyes full of longing. "How did you know I was here?" "Your assistant told me. Good'll dock his pay when I get back," I replied indifferently to her. Memories sealed deep in my heart, quietly unfolding. Gu King sat beside me, hesitating, finally managing a smile. "Little Chuan, are you still mad at me?" I smiled lightly, turned to look at her, shook my head gently. "I've forgiven you long ago." Gu King took a deep breath, without pause, carefully opened her mouth. "Little Chuan, in the over 300 days you were gone, I couldn't help missing you and regretting how I let you slip away back then." I looked into her clear eyes, as if seeing the teenage Gu King again. "So, Mr. Lei, I want to get to know you again. Can you give me a chance to pursue you once more?" Our breaths suddenly mingled, heartbeats thundering like thunder. The seed of love from that summer at the Hu house, despite all the wounds, still struggled to break the chains. Gu King continued, her voice trembling. In this moment, I couldn't hold back a shiver in my shoulders. Curled my lips. No need to speak of silkworms and elegance. As long as the evening clouds fill the sky, a little slow, a little late, it's fine. Everything is the best arrangement. So let's start over. From being friends